class, we are focusing on balance as well as the usual things that we go over. The major muscle groups, warming up the system. So with that said, we'll go ahead and start at the back of the mat. And just giving yourself some time to arrive. The music down just a little bit. Go ahead and bring yourself to think about just arriving without changing the property of the breath, without doing too much other than giving your body the space to just arrive. You can notice how the mat feels under the feet. If it feels nice with that little bend to the knees. And as we return to our home position of mountain, we can think about lengthening through the legs, through the back, ever taller, ever stronger with each iteration of mountain. As we're slowing down the breath cycle, we can bring our left palm to rest on our chest, right palm underneath the belly button. We'll start to cultivate the breath. As you begin your conscious inhale, the pause before the conscious, more controlled exhale. And again, the pause before you begin the cycle again. Just think about that nice, even breathing. And soon your breath cycle may find itself lengthening to about 4 to 5 seconds per cycle. We'll go ahead and finish cultivating the breath, the yoga breath, with the sound of the ocean at the back of the throat. And go ahead and bring our hands down to the sides. And you can lift the toes, roll onto the toes and then the heels, just to reset the mountain once. Inhaling, we'll go ahead and start lengthening to the crown of the head, feeling that energy lifting. And on the exhale, slowly feeling the energy return to the earth through the reverse direction. And then with the next inhale, start to slowly roll the weight towards the toes, feeling that center of gravity shifting till you're at the edge. Go ahead and bring the next breath to help guide that center of gravity towards the heels. And give yourself a breath or two to find out how it feels from toe to heel. And we'll return to the center, back in mountain. Inhaling once more to reset the mountain, a little longer, a little taller, lifting upwards. Go ahead and exhale, roll the weight towards the outer right edge of your feet. Inhaling all the way back up. Exhaling to the other side for a 3-part breath. If you like the 2-part breath, you could just use each inhale to go from one side and each exhale to go to the other. But either way, finding yourself back at center when you've explored that. Coming back into our mountain, inhaling, lifting, resetting once more. And this time, we're going to make small circles at the ankles. Slowly at first, getting ever wider, noticing how it feels at the base, finding that edge at the perimeter of the feet, and then slowly tightening the circles, meeting back at center. And we'll reset the mountain once more. Inhaling nice and tall. Go ahead and make small circles in the opposite direction. And as your perimeter becomes more defined, hopefully you'll find that edge. And then tighten in the circles and return to the center, somewhere above the arches, near to the heels. Alrighty, one more lifting of the toes and the heels for me. Go ahead and reset, making any movement that feels good. Coming back to our mountain, We're moving on up the body, making some lubrication swivels and turns at the ankles and at the hips, as well as maybe the shoulders. So getting just a little bit wider than the hips, perhaps. Getting ready to just start turning at the shoulders. Let that slight turn at the shoulders start to develop a momentum further down the body, so that as you start to turn from side to side, you're just lifting the ball of that foot and pivoting on the heel. And it's just enough of a motion to start getting those relaxed arms kind of just moving on their own with the help of that little start. And as that momentum starts to increase and you find your body swiveling more and more to the side, your arms that are so relaxed at the side may end up tapping at the hips, maybe even at the rib cage. Then we'll return to center, letting all that energy come to a standstill in home. Alrighty, getting on up to about the hips, up further than the hips, up to the shoulders now. We're going to lift up, feel that lengthening of our mountain now. See if you can gently press forward the hips as we're lifting upwards so that you can align these joints, the ankles under the hips, under the shoulders, and eventually under the ears. We're just working towards that goal. So with the next inhale, let's go ahead and bring the shoulders, lifting them up towards the ceiling. Then exhale, roll them back and down they go on the exhale. Fully exhaled, our core is engaged. Inhale, lifting up, lengthening. Exhale, rolling the shoulders back and relaxing them all the way down, maybe even into the mid-back. A total of 4 breath cycles, just in this way to help you explore how the shoulders feel. Top of the shoulders, the armpits, the back of the shoulder blades. When you're done with your very last set, we'll continue with the second round. And as we inhale up, this time we're exhaling the shoulders forward and down still. And a total of 4 of these, just to give ourselves that balance of a forward roll with the shoulders. And after the end of that, go ahead and prepare. We'll move on up to the throat, the mouth, the upper, very top of the crown. So lengthening once more in our mountain, palms facing forward, lifting through the crown of the head. Go ahead and inhale to the top. And then exhale, let the right ear dip towards the right shoulder. Shoulders still in one line. Inhaling finds length. Exhaling, release. Turn the gaze if you haven't already. Give yourself a total of 4 breath cycles, just to see how much release you can find on the left side of your neck, the cheek, maybe even the eyes might find release by the very last exhale. When you're ready, you can go ahead and, on an inhale, bring the eyes, the gaze, the crown of the head will lift towards the ceiling completely at the top of the inhale. So all you have to do is exhale, let the left ear dip towards the left shoulder. Breathing in and exhaling to turn the gaze and release through the right side of the neck. Each deep breath, let it remind you of that ocean. The deep inhale and exhale to help release and facilitate the release. And after that very last breath cycle, go ahead and bring the eyes, the gaze, the crown of the head lifting towards the ceiling at the top of the inhale. So all you have to do is exhale the gaze towards the top of the mat, releasing towards all the back neck muscles, just giving yourself that chance to rest the eyes softly at the top of the mat. And with each inhale, giving that length through the back of the neck, at that slight tilt of the center of the crown of the head. After the very last exhale, go ahead and inhale the eyes back to the midline, past the midline, and you can bring the eyes to rest somewhere above once you see the ceiling. And give yourself 3 good deep breath cycles here. See if you can release in the tongue, in the mouth, in the jaw, any leftover tension from last night, from earlier in the week. And after that very last exhale, you can always bring the eyes down, let them float back to the midline. And we'll reset our mountain once more. Just lift up any gripping of the feet, shake out any activated muscles in the arms, legs, knees, and we'll start our walking meditation. So standing in our mountain, just a taller mountain, a little longer mountain, reaching downwards with our fingers. Let's go ahead and inhale, extend the arms above. Exhale, engage the core and hinge at the hips, long straight back, start to fold. And somewhere halfway down, you can walk the hands down or you could just float on down. Our first fold is pretty lengthy, about 5 breath cycles. Give yourself some time to release through the upper shoulders, through any active arms. Make sure you've got just enough muscle activation in the legs, in the center of gravity between the hips and the ankles and heels, to keep you upright while you release anything that you can from the tailbone all the way down to the fingertips. You can bobble the head from left to right, forward and back. You can shift the weight from foot to foot. See how that affects your center of gravity. And notice if that affects the release in the upper body. One more deep inhale. One more deep exhale. Fully exhaled, engage the core, and we're going to slowly roll out. Start to press into the feet, firm up the legs, and curl up the spine, 1 vertebra at a time. Walk the hands up if that helps. And at the top of the inhale, hopefully, the head is the last to stack on the neck, shoulders melting down the back. Give yourself a breath or two to let the blood rush back to the head. And once more, let's go ahead and extend the arms downward, inhale the arms up, and fold once more. Exhaling, engage the core and fold. Bend the knees if you need. You don't have to have them straight. They can always have a slight bend or a deep bend if the back of the legs are tight. Give yourself another couple of breaths here. Not too long, not like before. You can bend one knee, straighten it, and then bend the other if that helps. And then let's go ahead and inhale. You have a choice of coming up slow, roll up, or with a straight back. Either way, engage the core, come on up. And hands meet above our head, and palms come down, heart center. Let's start our walking meditation. Inhaling, bringing the right foot up, exhaling the right foot down. Maintaining our balance. Inhaling the left foot up, exhaling it down. If you feel wobbly, engage the core. Make sure you've got that on. And pressing gently into the palms might help to bring you back. If not, that's okay. Go ahead, just meet us back at the top of the mat. We'll look down at the fingertips, inhaling. Let's press and watch them rise. Exhale, extend through the hips and fold. And on our third fold here, we're going to inhale for a half lift, press into the shins, into whatever contact you have, just to lengthen through the back. And then exhale back into the fold. Place the hands at either side of the feet, step a right foot and a left foot, maybe many steps back. And then inhale, we'll bring our shoulders over the wrists for a high plank, and then bring down the knees and the shins, tops of the feet for a modified high plank. Go ahead and feel that support at the tops of the feet and the shins for the lower body, while the upper shoulders are supported by long extended arms. If you feel that your shoulders are a little past the wrist point, you can always just gently walk the hands forward or lift up the knees slightly and just walk a little bit backwards until you find yourself in that position where you feel nice and comfortable, shoulders over the wrists. Let's go ahead and inhale, tuck the toes, lift up the hips, exhale, press the hips back, bring the body back into down dog. Somewhere in between your upper arms should be the ears.
And hopefully you have somewhat of an upside down V. Maybe it's more of an upside down U. That's okay. Work on bringing the apex of the hips, lifting up as high as you can, while the feet and the hands are just lowering downward. The heels do not have to touch the mat, but we want to feel that energy of the hands and the feet moving down towards the mat. And then engaging that core, bringing the belly button to the spine to help feel energized and lifted at the hips. One more deep inhale, look to the hands. Keep a bend to the knees if you need, and we'll go ahead and exhale, walk the hands to the back of the mat, to the fold, bringing the feet to the back of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold, relax, let the torso return to the fold, and then inhale, engage the core, press into the feet, come on up, your choice, strong back or slow roll up. Exhaling, hands down, heart center. And our second walking meditation, inhale, lift the right foot. Exhale, set it down. Inhale, left foot up. Exhale, left foot down. And a slow, soft gaze as we slowly make our way to the top of the mat. At the top, let's go ahead and look at the fingertips, pressing into the palms. Inhale, bring the hands up. Exhale, separate the palms, hinge at the hips, engage the core. Come on down for a fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees if you need. Come on down. Bring the feet back. High plank. Inhale, shoulders over the wrists. Nice long legs. Heels all the way up that hypotenuse to the crown of the head. Give yourself that nice triangular form. One more deep inhale. Exhale, let's go ahead and bring the hips up and back into our down dog. Second and final down dog. You can bend the knees if you need. We're only here for about 3 breath cycles. So notice how you're feeling here. See if you can roll the shoulders away from the ears if they're caving in towards the ears. And then inhale, roll the eyes towards the hands. And exhale, engage the core, bring the hands to the back of the mat, to the fold. Exhaling deeply, inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, engage the core, come on up. Exhaling, hands down, heart center, and relaxing them at the side. Let the heart catch up to the breath. And we'll go ahead and come into a chair position for our standing balance. So if you like a chair with the heel prop of your block, go ahead and bring that to your area, to the mat that you think you can just step a little bit back onto. And if you don't want to do that, that's fine. You could just practice on keeping the weight at the heels, or you can just roll up to the tiptoes best you can and then come back down. See what works for you. So as we're standing in our mountain, our feet are about hips distance apart. Let's see if we can lengthen through our mountain. Just feel like all points of the feet. If you feel your feet are kind of rolling out towards the outer edges, see if you can bring a little more weight in towards the arches. See if you can feel as if all points of the feet are just nice and firm on the floor, giving you a good support of the body. As we do that, we're going to just slightly feel that rolling of the weight towards the heels. Inhale, lift the arms. Exhale, just bend the knees and slide on down as if you're about to sit in a chair. And as soon as you feel your glutes engage and your quads engage, you are in chair. Engage the core. Make sure that belly button is sticking to the spine as strongly as possible. And you're just going to breathe for about 3 to 5 breath cycles here. If you want to feel where the center of gravity is, lift the toes. And then slowly let the toes back down. You should hopefully feel the weight back towards the heels more. If you would like to play with the arms, you can always lift them up higher. Having them at an angle is good too. Kind of gives you this symmetry, this balance of the hips here at the center of gravity, but the hands kind of out at a tangent to keep that balanced. One more deep inhale. Let's straighten, lifting the arms, straightening the legs. Exhale, hands down, heart center, and then down to the side. Go ahead and lift the feet. Do whatever feels good to you. You might want to kick out some residual activated muscles. You might want to gently bend one knee and then the other. Just jiggle the knees a little bit, bounce a little bit. See if that helps you to turn off any activation. And then we'll come over to our second set here, our second round, and notice where your block is if you would like to step back onto that. If not, you can just make your decision of rolling to the toes when you're ready. Standing in our mountain, nice and tall. Let's go ahead and inhale. Exhale. Go ahead and dip into your feet. You can bring up the arms. You can keep them at heart center. It's up to you. You can keep your hands at the heel, at the hips. But once you find that center square in the heels and you're feeling nice and solid in your chair, you can go ahead and lift the toes, roll down the toes, and then roll onto the balls of the feet or the toes. Go ahead, and if you want to walk back towards your block to help you with that development, or stay here for 3 breaths. And then when you're done, and if you're on your toes, go ahead and roll down to the feet, nice and flat. And then we can inhale, straighten the legs, bring down the arms, and then give yourself any movement to help you release from that pose. Sometimes I find kicking forward helps to release. And definitely I'm kicking off to the side of that leg before I cross the midline, and bringing that leg to the opposite leg side. Sometimes that just helps with the glutes. In our chair, we're using our quads, we're using our glutes, and all of this is going to help us get in and out of the car, up and down from the chairs. But sometimes, you know, we just need to develop that a little more, or just make sure we're not overdeveloping that either. So, coming on down to the belly, we'll meet on the belly. Hopefully, if you have your rolled up mat, blanket on the mat, you won't feel any bumpiness if you have bony hips. Otherwise, coming down to the mat in your fashion, I like to squat down. Sometimes I like to fold, just depends on how the body is feeling. If you have a favorite way of making your way down to the mat, let's go ahead and meet on the belly. One forearm at a time for me, in keeping my knees supported but not crushed. So sometimes I like that blanket right at above the knee area, but that's about all. So focusing now on just opening, allowing the hips to feel open. Give a side, a rest of the cheek on one side and then the other to balance that out. But as we're just making our way to the belly for the first time, it feels good sometimes just to give it some space. And if you've been very active in the hips, doing a lot of work, and you find it difficult to open up, that it feels really tight, you might feel like the hips are tented. It just takes a little bit of time to open. All right, now coming on to the belly, we're going to meet in Sphinx. Now, arms at the side. We can go ahead and bring the fingers up a little higher and higher until the elbows just come right underneath our shoulders. Have a nice relaxed shoulder. We don't want the shoulders to cave into our spine or into our ears, so we're moving the shoulders outward, but not too actively, just enough to keep them from caving into the shoulders, spine, or ears. Once we do that, we can hopefully find that the shoulder blades are melting down the back. The tips at the bottom, triangular tips, melting into the mid-back, just like in our warm-ups. Once we do that, go ahead and feel like more of the forearm and palms and fingertips, all the way to the fingertips, are kind of acting as one long surface area to help support the weight and keep the elbows from receiving too much of the bearing of that weight. One more deep inhale. One more deep exhale. See if you can rest the gaze somewhere at about thumb level.
Just a soft gaze. Take one inhale and lengthen through the right leg. Keep contact with the mat. If you need to lift the kneecap, do so, but try to keep the top of the foot all the way down to the toe in contact with the mat. Just lengthen from the hip all the way down to the toes. And then exhale, let the right leg relax into the mat. Take another inhale, slowly lengthen through the left leg. You can feel as if you're pointing the foot, and at that point you might find the left knee lifts slightly. But you should feel an engagement of the left glute all the way down to the toes, the left foot's toes. And then exhale, release that. Just let it melt into the mat. Take another deep breath here. We're going to gently press into our forearm palm position here to pull forward our torso. Let anything from the hips down to the toes relax. See if you could just keep the forearm palms as your anchor to the mat as you're gently pulling forward. Take the next inhale and see if you can bring the skin of the top of the belly to just breathe in and out. See if that skin part can just move. And relax the top of the shoulders. 3 more breaths just like this, focusing on the ocean breath. Let's go ahead and slowly exhale. Allow the chest to return to the mat. As it does, you can move the elbows outwards and slowly bring the palms down to the mat and the knuckles back to the hands to support the brow line. Give yourself a breath or two here. And then we'll release the arms down to the sides and keeping the palms on the mat. And you can keep your arms at an angle. It doesn't have to be a straight T away from the body at a 90-degree angle. It could be more of a 45, just off of the hips there. We're going to lengthen once more through the legs, both feet, toes pointing, and the arms. Palms are down on the mat and the fingers are together. And we're just lengthening through all appendages, all the arms and legs, feeling nice and long. Exhale and relax. Inhale once more, lengthen through all limbs. And then exhale, engage the core, press into the belly, press into the chest, and see if you can lift the feet. See if you can lift the hands. You can just give the intention of that as well. If you don't lift up and lift off, that's all right. And then exhale, bring the feet, bring the hands, and rest the left cheek on the mat. Take another deep breath, gently press into the chest so you can lift the face and turn the gaze to the other side. Rest the other cheek on the mat. Go ahead and allow the back of the hand to roll onto the mat so the palms are facing up, hands are extended, arms are extended down to the sides. And give one more deep inhale, press it in the chest, turn the gaze, and we can tuck our toes, bring the hands back underneath the shoulders, and let's go ahead and press into the feet, press into the palms, lengthen through the arms, and come on up. Tops of the feet, come on to the mat, and you're walking the hands up, coming back up with that reverse push-up. And then we can just bring the hips to the side, and we'll meet onto our back. Give yourself a nice little glute massage by just gently rolling from side to side on the hips, and we'll make our way back onto the mat. And bringing one arm down, one elbow down at a time, we'll meet in our base bridge position.
And depending on how far off the mat we got, we might need to slither our way back onto the mat, back on to that little pad that we might have, or maybe we might adjust that as well. Okay, now as we're comfortable, hopefully no pinched skin, nothing feeling like it's rocking us to the side. Getting into our base bridge position, just feel as if we've got that the heels within reach of the fingertips. Knees are pointing up towards the ceiling, and arms can be relaxed out to the side. Giving ourselves just a moment here. We're going to reverse our hand position, bring the palms down onto the mat, and let's windshield wipe to one side. Just let the knees fall to one side. We're only rolling onto the edge of our feet as our knees windshield wipe to one side. And we're going to stay here for about 5 breath cycles. Just see if you can get a release, like a yawn, like just a releasing of a muscle, something, hopefully in the next 2 to 3 breath cycles, but usually before your 5th one. Just some sort of release as we're allowing that space for the body to do so. After your very last exhale, we're going to help the knees come back up. Inhaling, bring the hands to the thighs, help to bring the knees up, and just roll back onto the sacrum. When you come back into your base bridge position, make any adjustments, come back into alignment. Make sure that the spine and the neck are in one nice line, and then make sure your sacrum hasn't become unbalanced. You can roll from side to side, front to back again. See what it feels like center. Bringing the hands back down, hands a bit away from the hips. Let's go ahead and just roll onto the left edge of your feet. Let the knees just roll and relax. And once you reach that side, give yourself 5 breath cycles. Somewhere at about the 3rd breath cycle, you might start to feel some sort of release. Sometimes it's a yawn. Sometimes it's just something you didn't realize was active, just relaxes. You might find that at the top of your ankle. You might find a quad. You might find the top of your hip. After your last breath cycle, we're going to use our hands to help bring the knees back to center, back to our base bridge position. And make sure you're back in alignment when you come onto the back. Sometimes in the transition, we just become a little askewed. So our next one here is our figure 4. So just bringing the left foot up. Inhale, the left foot up. If you need that strap to help bring the left foot up, you can work on that. You can just strap that against the ball of the foot, but we're working on lifting the left foot, externally rotating the left hip before we land the left ankle on the right knee, lower thigh area. Now for some of us, if our hips are really tight, our knee will be winging in towards the chest. And it might be that we just need to give it some time. So again, 3 to 5 breath cycles. See if the right hip lifted, and you just need to give yourself some time to come back to center, having everything roll back, evenly balanced sacrum. And maybe with the help of the left hand, you can just gently rest it on the thigh, maybe even on that knee top, at the lower thigh area, just to help keep it from falling inward. And we're just breathing here. We're allowing our limbs to just kind of come back into balance, into that position of being supported on our backs. And the hips will hopefully just sink into the sockets as naturally. We're keeping a flexed position on the left foot. to help protect this left knee. And once you're feeling that good, deep support in all points of the sacrum, then we can go ahead and bring out the arms, and we're going to allow your left foot to land somewhere on that right side, bringing your base block, or just letting it hang out in the air. It does depend on your practice and where you are, so don't force anything. Your first edge is almost always just what your body is comfortable doing, so paying attention to that. With the next deep inhale, we're just going to slowly allow the hips to shift over, and you can help guide the left thigh over, bringing the hands to the left thigh. Just feel that out. If your left shoulder lifts, let it. It does not need to stay on the mat. But again, we're just rolling onto the right edge of our feet, or the right foot that's on there. And the left foot is either hovering out in the air with the help of gravity, opening up the left hip, and eventually you make contact with your block. Maybe it'll just stay there in the air and it feels good to have that nice traction with the help of gravity. Maybe you make it all the way over and you have that deep stretch to the left intercostal rib cage, the psoas on the left, through the glutes on the left. So much is being nicely stretched out on this left side. Extend through the left arm, position the palm of the left hand for to your best benefit. You can feel that. Does it benefit you better with the palm down or with the palm up? And you can always then, hopefully by that last breath cycle, find your sweet edge. And at that point, we breathe again, 5 breath cycles. And if it's really too intense, you can always come back out. You can always bring some support. If you didn't have it there before, you can make those adjustments as needed. But once you can find that point of just breathing and allowing the body to release. You should be approaching, hopefully, the last couple of breath cycles, if not the last breath. So as we come out, if your gaze is turned in the opposite position, align the gaze with the chest, and then bring the hands to either help the body come back to center, or just bring it on by just bringing the legs back over, that with a strap or by itself if that's strong enough. So as we're here, we're making our few movements to make sure we're in alignment once more, that we don't have any pinched skin. Before we remove the left ankle, let's go ahead and lift the left ankle slightly and internally rotate the left hip before we start to bring that left foot down. Once it makes contact, we start to slide that left leg down. We're internally rotating, helping it along the way. And once we lengthen, we might have a tented knee. Maybe the calf is lifted quite high. That's okay. Just give yourself a couple of breaths here. Maybe a gentle movement in the knees, gentle tapping. Maybe an inhale to extend through the left leg by flexing the left foot, pressing out through the left heel. And then exhale, let that left leg melt. It is going to be where it is. All right, and then we'll inhale, bring the left knee to bend once more, let the sole of that left foot come back to base bridge position. We're going to bring the palms out to the sides of our hips, wherever feels comfortable, and give yourself a nice, faster windshield wipe of the knees from left to right, just a little bit. And then we'll meet back in our base bridge position, and we'll do this on the other side. So we have the left foot up. Now we're going to bring up the right foot. So inhaling, you can lift up the right foot. If you need the strap, put the strap on the ball of the foot, or use the material around your thigh. Either way, once you get the foot lifted, before we land it, let's externally rotate the right hip. See if that helps us to bring the right ankle to our left thigh, our left knee destination. And if that left hip is lifted, give yourself some time. We want to have the entire sacrum on the mat before we go any further. You'll notice as you find that base comes back into support. If the right knee is winging inward, that's the next spot. We want to make sure that we're opening up through the hip, just giving ourselves the space to do so. So breathing deeply, noticing if a gentle weight of our hand on the right thigh just helps to keep us from bringing the right knee in towards the chest. We want to keep the opening in the right hip. So maybe we just need a little support with the right hand on that right thigh. Keeping the right foot at a slight flexion, not pointing it, but keeping it flexed, and then relaxed. And once you find that your base is just situated, then we can think about rolling over to the left side for our extended figure 4 windshield wipe. So bringing the hands out to the left and right sides of our hips, making sure our base, our block is a landing base for that foot if we want to do that. Go ahead and inhale, and then exhale. Start to bring the right foot towards the left side. You can bring your hands to help with that movement, or you can have them off to the side. See what helps. Now, for me, I'm not going as deeply on this side. Clearly, one side is tighter than the other. Notice how you're feeling. See how far you get on this side. And again, we're taking about 3 to 5 breath cycles to find that edge, noticing how the body reacts as we're transitioning, making the adjustments as needed. And again, we're just rolling onto the left side of our left foot as we windshield, as we just roll over, twist over to the left side with our figure 4 positioning of the legs and finding out where that brings us. Hopefully by that 5th breath cycle, we're at our sweet spot. We can bring our arms, we can turn the gaze, we can make our final adjustments, and just breathe for the next 5 breath cycles. Recall the breath of the ocean. Soften the gaze. And notice what melts. What melts away by the end of the breath cycles. As you approach your very last breath, coming out, we're going to bring the gaze back into alignment with our chest. We're going to use our hands to help bring the legs, the knees, the back onto the mat, back to our base bridge position. And once we're there, giving ourselves just a moment here, let's go ahead and lift up the right ankle and internally rotate the right hip before we allow the right foot to land. And you might feel really fragile right now, so it moves slowly, but we're going to slowly allow this right leg to extend. See if your knee is tented, if you need to make the adjustments. Give yourself some time. Make any final length
movement with that right leg long. Wiggle the toes, tap out the knee. Extend through the right heel if you need with an flexed right foot, and then relax that. And at this point, we're going to move into our Shavasana, extend through the left leg. And if that's been tented for a while, if that's been flexed for a while, enough to keep the left hip tented, just give yourself any extra bouncing, gentle bouncing of the legs, jiggling of the thighs, whatever feels good. Maybe you can extend the arms overhead, point the toes, do what feels good, and then we'll just allow the body to respond to today's practice in Shavasana. Laying down on your back, relaxing, letting a blanket cover you if you need, and just letting the body sleep symbolically, perhaps for the second time today. And in about 5 minutes, you'll hear the 3 bells to awaken.
bringing the mind back to the body, taking note of sounds outside the room, the sounds inside the room, and finally back to the breath. Notice how the chest rises with each inhale, how the chest falls with each exhale. And as you make your way back to the body vessel once more, I invite you to wiggle your fingers, hands. You can rock from side to side, sometimes just rolling onto the fetal position on one side, and then using your hands to come on up. We'll meet in an upright seated position and close out our class with our breath exercise to help balance out and reawaken. We'll use our alternate nostril breathing exercise where we bring the left hand into our chin mudra hand position and just rest that hand on the left thigh. Right hand is in our Vishnu position of the 2 fingers on the mount of the thumb. And you can always just bring those 2 fingers to the center of the forehead if that's too awkward with the hand. We're just closing the right nostril with the right thumb, left nostril with the left ring finger tip, or if your fingers are on the brow, with the ring finger knuckle. All right, so taking a nice deep breath in, nice tall spine, engage the core. Let's go ahead and bring the right thumb to the right nostril. Exhale through the left. Fully exhale, the core engages, belly button sticks to the spine. Inhale deeply. Feel the collarbones lift at the top of the inhale. Close. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Close. Exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Close. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Close. Exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Close. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Close. Exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Close. Exhale through the right. Last round. Inhale through the right. Close. Exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Close. Exhale through the right. Release the right hand. Release the mudras. Let the breath come to its natural state. And bringing the hands to heart center. Thank you so much for joining me, Jeani, here at the ACC Community Room. I hope you have a wonderful day. Namaste.
Thank you, Jeani. Thank you.
Everyone, bye. Drink water. Lots of water.